Sinai-Grace Cardiac Rehab is changing lives. Do you know how to read a nutrition label? And if you're a non-drinker, here's a study you may say cheers to. These stories and more coming up next on Sinai-Grace Today. Hello, I'm Melanie Moss. We've been celebrating red all month long at Sinai-Grace Hospital, and not just because of Valentine's Day. It's Heart Health Awareness Month, and we've got a lot of great information for you. First, the bad news. Detroit is one of the worst cities in the country when it comes to heart health. It's a combination of a lot of things that cause about 3,000 residents to die of heart disease each year.
There are a number of reasons for having a very high incidence of heart disease in Detroit. One, the lack of exercise because of the weather. Second, there are just not enough fresh food joints around. Thirdly, for some reason there is higher obesity incidence. It's unclear why that is, but that does not translate into higher cardiovascular mortality.
Instead of being a victim of your environment, you can do something about it.
Key to all this is understanding that there is a problem, but there are ways of fixing the problem. There are a number of things that you can do. First of all, it starts with motivation and understanding of what the problem is. If you understand that you're overweight and if you're motivated to do something about it, that's a start in itself. Secondly is lifestyle modification. That means you're going to cut back in the amount of portions you're going to eat. You're going to have more vegetables and have helpings of fresh fruit. Thirdly, you need to go out and exercise regularly and have regular follow-up with doctors. There are a lot of doctors around, and no matter how old or how young you are, you need to get your blood pressure treated.
The good news, Sinai-Grace Hospital is here to help you get heart healthy. We have a group of renowned cardiologists who use the latest and most advanced procedures and treatments to get you back enjoying life. One program that many patients find beneficial, the Sinai-Grace Cardiac Rehabilitation Program.
The Sinai-Grace program is a medical, exercise, nutritional, and behavior modification program to try to help patients prevent subsequent events. And I'm talking about cardiovascular event. What we do here at Sinai-Grace, once the patient has a cardiac event, patients who are eligible to come to this type of programs are patients who have a heart attack, patient who has a stent placed in, patient with angioplasty, patient with valve disease that have surgery, patient with angina pectoris, just having chest pain. We take a very good medical history. We provide teaching at that time. We do a quick walking exercise in this facility, and eventually we assign them to a program that is for 12 weeks with 36 sessions when they use all the equipment that Kim was just explaining to you. And in that is include also teaching, talking to patients about risk factor modifications, talking to them about how important it is to stop smoking, how important it is to take care of the blood pressure, how important it is to take care of the sugar diabetes. The results that we're having is significant. Number one, patients love the program. There's a lot of patients that finish the 12 weeks and sign out to continue here even without monitoring. And my office is right here in the same building, and patients of mine come here. I can see that patients who come to the cardiac rehab program has a lot less readmission to the hospitals. They have a better life, they have a very active life, a lot less depression in people who participate in this type of program. Depression is very common in the older population, and those are the people who usually ended up having a heart attack and having problems, a cardiovascular problem. So in my particular patients, I find significant good results.
The Sinai-Grace Cardiac Rehabilitation Program is located at the DMC Losser campus in Southfield. Call 248-355-1699 for more information. If you'd like more information about Sinai-Grace Hospital's cardiology services or referral, call 313-966-4800. While most of us may consider heart problems to be an elderly issue, they're not. Adults at any age can have heart problems, and even kids and babies. Each year, about 1 out of 125 babies are born with a heart defect. The tricky thing about these infant conditions, some may be so slight that the baby is healthy for many years and then it catches up with them. Others are born very sick. Sinai-Grace Hospital's Administrative Director, Luoma, knows all too well the fears parents face when their baby is born with a heart defect.
My son was born on November 20th of 1985. We had no reason to suspect that anything was going to be different than any other normal baby. My husband and I are both nurses. We were going to go right back to work and be the yuppie parents of the mid-'80s. And that day, our lives changed. He was born on a cold wintry morning. He was fine. Paul came home. 1 week later, we were back in the hospital because he had developed his jaundice from bilirubin, which is not an uncommon complication post-delivery, especially with an early baby, as we were told. He went home. We went back into the hospital again. At that point, a resident told us that evening, "Did anybody tell you your son has a heart murmur?" Again, being nurses, we trusted into the physicians, and we all thought it was because he was a new baby. He was a month early. They explained it was a common complication at an early age like that and being premature, that it was probably something that would close on its own within the first month of life. 24 hours later, he was in crisis. 3 days later, we were transferred to Children's Hospital of Michigan. We thought we had one heart defect, which was a ventricular septal defect, which is missing the septum between the two lower chambers of the heart. The cardiologist informed us that snowy morning on that Saturday that we were dealing with a bigger complication. Now we had two. We were looking at a coarctation of his aorta, a narrowing and shortening of the diameter of his aorta to support his bodily functions. We were sent home, told to beef him up, give him his cereal, and bring him back for a cardiac cath right after Christmas. Following the cardiac cath, he went through his first surgery. It was open chest surgery to repair the aorta, which with itself, besides the complications of surgery, is post-op because of the opportunity for blood flow to his brain and to his body. Things could happen. He survived. He did well. We were doing okay. We thought we were going to buy time till he's 3 years old to repair his septal defect, but we found 12 days later he went into a total collapse and required a second surgery, this time open heart surgery, to repair the septum. You're walking your child not once, but twice to the operating room, carrying your firstborn, the firstborn grandchild, and giving them to the doctors and nurses, and you just pray that things are going to be well and you're going to take that baby home. 45 days later at ICU, with much pleading and cajoling with our physicians, we were able to take Paul home. We begged as being nurses that we would do whatever it took to keep him home. Send us a visiting nurse, send us a respiratory therapist, send whatever you needed, but we all needed to go home as a family. And we did. He had lost his ability to suck, so we had to learn how to use a bottle again. He was tube fed at home. But he grew and he grew. And by Mother's Day, he had put on weight and he had his first outing. By 9 months old, he was off all his medication. By 10.5 months old, he was up walking. Today, he's a 27-year-old man living in LA, working for NBC, doing what he loves to do, which is editing scripts and writing for television. He received a degree in musical theater performance and did a little stint in New York and has now moved out to LA. He's healthy, he's happy, he's on no medication, he has no really activity restrictions. He sees his cardiologist every 2 years, and he was told at his last visit that he was a perfect repair. I would tell any parent, when you bring that baby home, and I know we all look for fingers and toes when they're born, and we should be watching for any subtle signs, and that's what they told us. As a parent, we would be the people who would notice any changes. So love those babies, look at them, take them to their visits, stay on all medications or any diets or anything that they tell you to do, and you too, I wish for you a healthy outcome as we have had.
For these stories and more, you can visit our Facebook and YouTube pages for every episode of Sinai-Grace Today. Also, log on to pagingdredie.wordpress.com for great health information. I'm Melanie Moss. Thanks for watching.